Over the course of the past few months, we have been anxiously waiting for the day that the Federal Reserve will formally reduce interest rates. In the following video, we are going to discuss the Federal Reserve's decision to reduce interest rates. On top of that, however, we are going to be discussing what is going to take place over the next 24 hours. This is because, once again, we have some very significant events that are going to take place in the near future, and the most significant of these is going to be the events that take place today and tomorrow. Regardless of how you want to look at this, we are going to discuss it. Therefore, let's begin by taking a look at the market itself as our initial step. Over the course of the past few days, the market itself has been selling off quite a bit, and we have been focusing a substantial amount of emphasis on this phenomenon. Truly began over the weekend, then it became a little bit more pronounced at the beginning of the week, and now, well, we are still in a sea of red on a daily basis as well as on a weekly basis, and even on a monthly basis, with some of these older coins falling by more than 20%, XRP falling by 16.6%, QT matching that at 18.6%, XLM falling by 16.9%, Algo falling by 15.4%, H4 12.1%, and the rest, of course, going on and on. However, the most important thing that we are keeping an eye on here is Bitcoin and Ethereum. In this particular situation, we still need to see both of them regain some strength, and these are the two primary ones that I am keeping an eye on. Before we can begin to discuss the price action on XRP, we need to first. The price action of XRP is still our primary concern, therefore there is no need to be concerned about it. It's not like we're ignoring it, but the main reason is that we need Bitcoin and Ethereum to regain some momentum in order for the rest of the market to really start to see that massive bounce as well. This is the main reason. Now, once more, if we are considering this, it is evident that we are considering the elements that have the potential to actually, I would say, become a catalyst. Is that correct? To put it another way, the primary thing that we are looking for here is some kind of spark that, pushes us out of the lows. That catalyst might be the Federal Reserve. In addition, we are going to discuss that topic in this video. But before we get into that, let's take a quick look at the market as a whole. If we take a brief glance at the market as a whole, we can see that the market cap is currently at $3,185 trillion, and we can also see that the fear and greed levels are approximately 46. Going off the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we are still at levels that are considered to be frightened. In terms of the stock market, the situation is essentially neutral, and investors are attempting to enter that scared level. But for the most part, as I mentioned earlier, the market itself is telling us that we are not really bullish and we are not really negative. I would agree with this assessment since, once again, we have not lost any meaningful support on Bitcoin or even on Ethereum to highlight what would be considered a developing pessimistic attitude against the cryptocurrency. Moreover, we are not really in the realm of bullishness either. When it comes to the charts, we are now currently in a state of neutrality. However, if we take a look at the current market, we can see that Bitcoin is currently trading at approximately 113,000, Ethereum is trading at approximately 42, and XRP is trading at $2.85. The vast majority of the market is still being sold off. Even now, the majority of the market is relatively weak, and we are looking into any significant aspect that has the potential to alter this. As I mentioned earlier, the Federal Reserve is more than likely going to be a major emphasis going into later today. If you are into This is something I would like to mention before we proceed with our discussion. Throughout the years, I have been keeping up with iTrustCapital. This is one of the best sites to utilize, particularly if you are someone who buys and sells cryptocurrency, or if you are someone who wants to buy cryptocurrency and then store it in a crypto IRA platform that offers attractive tax benefits. iTrustCapital is available, and it is likely going to be your best friend for a lot of these wonderful things that you want to accomplish with cryptocurrency. In the event that you are interested in buying and selling metals, you are able to do so on iTrustCapital as well. If you use my link and make a deposit of up to $1,000, you will be eligible to receive a $100 funding bonus today. To receive this bonus, you will need to use my promotional code and my link, which can be found further down in the description. So, what exactly are you doing? What are you eagerly anticipating? Proceed to tap in. You won't be glad you did it. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get back to Bitcoin, shall we? Taking a look at Bitcoin today, that is the 7th day We are not completely committed to this position. My opinion is that we have not yet reached our lowest point. When it comes to Bitcoin, the most important thing that I am looking at right now is for us to reach daily closures that are greater than 112.4 thousand. This is a really significant point. Due to the fact that this is the floor that we established at the beginning of August, this is going to be the primary level during which we concentrate our efforts. Currently, what are some things that we would like to see over the next few days? Nevertheless, we want to see these previous highs being broken on the daily closes, simply going off the 20th and the 21st. But flipping those levels from the beginning of August around 115K will be a very, very huge indication that we are bottoming out on this move, and we should be targeting 117.5K next. This is something that we anticipate happening. The midline flip that we need to achieve in order to retarget $120,000 and then $124,000 is going to be this. When it comes to the high, we need a daily close that is approximately higher than 123.3 thousand. However, I am going off of the wick here, not the high. Therefore, the most important aspect for Bitcoin today is that in order to confirm the bottom, we need to flip the high of 115,000 and aim for 117.5 thousand over the next few days. A weekly close on the weekly close is being discussed, and it's possible that today is the day that we witness this. Exactly. I am not referring to today or tomorrow, rather I'm referring to Sunday. A recover of 117.5K is what we are hoping to see in this situation. The official number is 117.3K, and after that there is a pause above 119.4K. This is something that is achievable if we are able to close above 120K before the end of the week, which is 2 days and 21 hours. Then the bottom is completely in, and the next target that we ought to be aiming for is $130,000. However, I do believe that this takes some time, and if we truly want to confirm that the bottom has been reached on Bitcoin, I honestly believe that this will take us into the next week after this. The Federal Reserve, on the other hand, is the primary focus of Ethereum at the moment. Ethereum, as you probably already know, is essentially just following Bitcoin. This is a slightly higher low than we have seen before. We have to come up with a more elevated high. With that being said, you should know that breaking over and obtaining a 4-hour close over of approximately 4,400 red dollars will be a very good beginning. After that, we will be able to aim for those highs that occurred on the 17th, somewhere near 4,600. This would prompt us to retest some of these until we truly see Bitcoin and or Ethereum begin to rebound in a significant way and break out. We are not going to see any crazy price activity on XRP. Until then, we will not see any dramatic price change. Nevertheless, the reason that we are keeping a close eye on the Federal Reserve today is because Powell is scheduled to deliver a very important address today. Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, is scheduled to deliver a significant address at Jackson Hole both tomorrow and today. While he is under pressure to reduce interest rates, he is scheduled to discuss the economic prospects for the United States, tariffs, and the next action that the federal government will do. The markets will be keeping a tight eye on the situation, and sure, they will be keeping a very careful eye on it. At the moment, retail employees are of the opinion that there is only a 57% possibility that the Federal Reserve would reduce interest rates in September. It will not matter to the markets even if we do not receive a reduction in interest rates in September. As of yet in the year 2025, the markets have shown no sign of concern and the market has continued to perform. However, the Federal Reserve's decision to reduce interest rates will be a significant trigger for price activity. In addition, I believe that the speech that is going to be delivered today will be a very significant catalyst because it will accomplish what the markets are looking for. A glimmer of insight into what the Federal Reserve will do next, which will alter the likelihood that we will receive a reduction in interest rates or not, are provided here. At the moment, if we are going to head over to CME Group, which is a website that I personally like to use for anything concerning the probability of the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates, a rate reduction in September has currently a 75.3% chance of occurring. At 87.5%, the month of October is still somewhat in the vicinity of the 87.8% level. Then December is a 96.7% chance of occurring. As we approach closer to those dates, these probabilities will definitely change in a significant way. However, once again, the speech that Jerome Powell will deliver today will serve as a very significant indicator of what will be discussed at the Federal Open Market Committee meeting that will take place on September 17th. This is something that we are still waiting on, despite the fact that it is still some time away. This is something that we are continuing to keep an eye on because Once again, anything the Federal Reserve does and whatever it determines can have a significant impact on the markets. It is imperative that we have a firm grasp on this matter. The Federal Reserve's decision to reduce